Suscríbete al canal del diputado William Soriano y activa las notificaciones dándole clic a la campanita.
I'm more than honored to introduce our next speaker, William Soriano. William is a congressman from El Salvador who has a background in geothermal energy, finance, and mechanical engineering. There was quite a bit of talk yesterday at our conference about El Salvador, and today the congressman will be telling us about Bitcoin in El Salvador, Volcano Bonds, and BitcoinCity. I invite you to direct your attention to the screen.
Bitcoin is going to change the world. It has already changed it, but it's going to change even more. We demonstrated that Bitcoin could do a lot of good things.
With the Bitcoin, with the cryptocurrency, with the blockchain, you have multiple opportunities to improve the life of our people.
El Salvador is fast. Which country in the world will announce one thing one day, start construction 4 weeks later, and finish it 60 days later? El Salvador, that's right. And I was thinking we should do a great announcement, right? But we already have Bitcoin as a legal tender, so what could it be? Has to be something as good as that at least. So I was thinking, what do we do? Do we bring Satoshi here? What do we do, right? It's a little hard. So we were thinking of building Bitcoin City.
The first countries that do this will have a massive advantage.
Residential areas, commercial areas, services, museums, entertainment, bars, restaurants, airport, port, rail.
This is a very historic moment. We're going to be issuing Bitcoin bonds.
If I had a company, a digital company, why wouldn't I want to be there? Zero income tax, zero capital gains tax, zero property tax, zero payroll tax, zero municipal taxes, and zero CO2 emissions.
So this is going to make El Salvador the financial center of the world. It's the Singapore of Latin America, and if the US continues declining, all of North and South America. But this is a big first step.
So it's just not a good or cool or nice idea. It's the evolution of humankind. So we're going there. And you can't stop evolution.
The best proof that democracy could work worldwide is Bitcoin. It's a democratization of the financial system that so far has been controlled by the central banks in the different countries.
Everything devoted to Bitcoin. For some reason, we're all here right now, and let's all push the future even forward.
All the way from El Salvador, please help me give a warm welcome to the stage, William Soriano.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be all the way from El Salvador to Germany. It's a bit cold, but it's okay. Last week, it was 30 degrees. Now it's just 1 or 2 degrees here. But we like it. You know why? Because it's the first time in our country that people talk differently about El Salvador. And let's be honest. What have you heard about El Salvador before? Violence, right? But what do you hear about El Salvador right now? Bitcoin? Bitcoin as a legal tender? BitcoinCity? The coolest president in the world, Nayib Bukele? Surf? And everything we're doing, actually, to change our country. Let me tell you about El Salvador. What is El Salvador? It is one of the smallest countries in Central America. And we have a population of 6 million people. 3 million people living in the United States. And that people, we still have a very big bond. and they send to El Salvador every month, every year, remittances. Remittances coming from El Salvador, they amount $7,000 million every year. Every single year for decades, they've been sending money to their country. $7,000 million. And you know how much they pay in fees to companies such as MoneyGram, RIA? $400 million every year, just by sending money back home. And that's only El Salvador. Can you imagine Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico? And that's quite a business. So when our president announced it, that Bitcoin will become a legal tender in El Salvador, what we actually did was make it more fair for everyone. So today I have a presentation. I'll give you some numbers. Quickly introduce myself. I'm part of the parliament in El Salvador. I'm a congressman. I'm 30 years old. I studied in Taiwan. I know geothermal energy. I'm part of the financial committee, budget committee, and economic committee in El Salvador. And I know I'm a bit young, but let's see it. Our president is young. We have a young parliament, and we have very good ideas to actually implement in our country. And you see it here. That's El Salvador. It's one of the smallest countries in the whole world, but one that has given one of the biggest steps that we've witnessed in the last years. And this small video is actually to show you what we're going to do in the next years. What are we planning on doing? What is El Salvador's plan to improve people's lives? All right, so have you heard about it, right? El Salvador became recently the first country to make Bitcoin a legal tender. Me, as a parliamentary, as a congressman, I voted, I raised my hand to actually make Bitcoin the first legal tender in the world. And that was quite an experience. Whenever you actually decide to change something or to face the system, you're going to face some opposition from it, right? And that was what we actually had to face all the way. But we had it clear that what we were about to do was something that will actually change the way we see the financial system in the whole world. With more than 63 votes out of 84, we were able to actually vote the law, pass it, and make Bitcoin the legal tender. But that was just the first step. As you can see, Bitcoin became legal. I'll show you some of the newspapers. The Congress approves the Bitcoin law, Bitcoin Day. And what we're actually trying to do right now is not only make Bitcoin a legal tender. No, that's only the start. That's only the first step. It was a very brave step. It was not easy to make it, but we're ready. Our president, he announced it in Miami. 3 days later, he sent the bill to the Congress, and that day we approved it. 2 months later, we were deploying the first digital wallet our country has ever had. And all has been so fast. But I'll show you some real interesting numbers right now. So how many of you know El Salvador already deployed his first digital wallet? It's called Chivo app, Chivo Wallet. Chivo means cool in El Salvador, Chivo. You say, hey, que chivo? It means cool. So this wallet has been incredibly useful for all Salvadorans. And let me explain you why. Remember I told you that Salvadorans send $7 billion in remittances every year to El Salvador, and that they pay $400 million in fees. Well, Chivo Wallet has allowed Salvadorans to send remittances with no fees. Zero fees at all. For free. So you can send money from the United States to your people in El Salvador, but you can send Bitcoins as well. And that's very important. You know why? Because 2 months ago, El Salvador, 30% of its population had access to a bank account. That's 1.2 million people. Can you imagine that? 30% of our people had a bank account. Before I boarded my plane to Germany, 80% of our people had already downloaded and used the Chivo Wallet. That's 80% of our people that had access to a financial system, decentralized, in 2 months. We almost tripled all the bank accounts with all the banks in our country in 2 months. And that's only something that Bitcoin can make possible. Right now, as people are learning to use it, we already received more than, I think that number might be updated, but more than $32 million in the last weeks in remittances. As people get to know it, as people get familiar with it, and they tend to trust it, it actually, the number will increase. So we're expecting to save more than $400 million. But that's not all. El Salvador has been purchasing Bitcoins with a single purpose, and I'm going to explain it to you soon. So back in September 6th, we purchased the first 400 Bitcoins. A country purchased the Bitcoin. Then we purchased another 100. Every time there's a dip, we buy it. Yes. I mean, we're not like Michael Saylor, that he buys all of it, but we're getting there. But we're doing something very important with Bitcoin, not only giving people economic freedom, but we're also investing in it. All the earnings we get, we're investing it in the children's hospital. We're renewing it completely. We're building 20 schools. 20 schools with computers. New schools that are actually facing. Our country has suffered so much. I was born after the Civil War. I'm 30 years old right now, and I couldn't see that part of our history. But we come from a country that has been actually very corrupt, insecure, and there was a reason for that. Bad politicians. So I was like, why should I be a politician? What is the main purpose of being there and representing your people? And there's only one thing, changing people's lives positively. So when I thought about accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender, I thought all the possibilities. And we were actually brave enough to not listen the Monetary Fund and many other institutions. I've talked to them last week, and they have some serious concerns about Bitcoin. But it's okay. That's okay. So we also are building the first veterinarian hospital, and everyone can take their pets for free to this hospital. And that's just the beginning. So what's going to be Bitcoin City? Have you heard about it, right? Can you raise your hands? Who actually heard of it? Oh, that's nice. So I'm going to explain you what Bitcoin City is, and how are we going to make it possible to happen.
So actually,
let me introduce Mr. President first.
Present to you, Bitcoin City.
Yes. So actually, our president, he's one of the youngest leaders around the world. And like him, we are eager to make decisions that will actually change very fast our country. And Bitcoin City is one of the ways that we're going to achieve it. First of all, that's my hometown. You see that volcano? That's my hometown. So I'm very happy to be actually presenting and talking about Bitcoin City because it's going to happen where I grew up. So this volcano It will never erupt, don't worry. It will never erupt. What it does, it has its own magma surrounded by water, and that creates steam. And that steam goes through a pipe, and it goes to a turbine, and it creates energy. And that's how we're going to power Bitcoin City. But we will also use this money, this power, to actually mine Bitcoins as well. First of all, we're going to use geothermal power plants in two ways. Power the city and mine Bitcoins. I've heard many times that Bitcoin is just too difficult with energies and it's not green. Well, we're changing that. We're proving the world that Bitcoin can not only be a legal tender, but it can also be powered and mined with renewable resources. El Salvador is showing the world that it can be done, and we're doing it. But also, what is Bitcoin City? What's going to have Bitcoin City? First, we're going to pass a law that's going to give all the legal frame so that your investments are actually safe. No taxes at all. For real, no taxes. It's like 0 taxes on capital gains, 0 taxes on property, 0 taxes on payroll. Because it's going to, for real. It's summer year. Show you. So that's the volcano, and you can chill anywhere you want. And it's nice, and it's safe, and it's going to be the future. Also, our government is going to make it possible by issuing volcano bonds. And what is a volcano bond? Have you heard of it? No? None? All right, that's good. So I'm going to explain it to you. All right, so El Salvador, next year, in the first months of 2022, will issue the first volcano bonds. And what is a volcano bond? It's going to be a $1 billion over 10 years. Half of it, $500 million, will be used to buy Bitcoins. And the other half will be used for infrastructure development of Bitcoin City and Bitcoin mining. So we will build a new geothermal power plant to be able to mine it, and also to develop all the infrastructure Bitcoin City is going to need. And we will begin building it 60 days after we issue the bonds. After we close the deal, we will begin construction. That's why our president said, which country in the world begins building something right after he announces? Well, El Salvador is going to do it that way. So it's going to be very easy. How can I participate in this kind of bonds? First of all, you only need $100, and you'll be able to participate in it. Anyone can participate on Bitcoin City and volcano bonds. And that's the magic of it. It's very accessible. And we'll be able to create the first financial tool for countries who actually want to benefit and use Bitcoin. And this is a very brave step. Because you know what's going to happen if we actually issue them, right? We're going to be the first ones, but not only the first ones. We will open the way for many other countries who are being told what to do every time. Not only by the IMF, but many other institutions. And they tell you what to do, and they tell you the conditions. You know, once our president told them, we don't want to do what you tell us to do. That's not how it is. We want to do what you do in order to be successful. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do what they do, not what they say we have to do. So traditional bonds, how much they pay? 14% in an annual coupon? That's basic stuff. What Bitcoin bonds are going to do is that we're going to give you 6.5% in annual coupon, plus all the appreciation Bitcoin's going to have, and half of the earnings of El Salvador as well. In 10 years, if Bitcoin prices go all the way up, you're going to receive average 165% in return if things go as we expect, right? And that's just important, because if El Salvador has success, that I believe it will, we are opening the road, we are paving the road, a non-existent road, for many other countries that actually are trying to be free, to have economic freedom. And that's quite important. El Salvador has been always told what to do under someone else's conditions. Nobody asked me if I wanted US dollar as a currency. They just passed the law without telling anyone. Nobody asked us. And what happens if the United States prints 40% of their US dollars in the last 2 years? What's going to happen in my country? Inflation. Is there anything we can do about it in my country? No. Our people are defenseless. There's nothing we can do to protect our people. And that's where Bitcoin comes in. And that's our new strategy, to actually protect our people from this crazy inflation we're living right now. This is what I was telling you. So investors, if Bitcoin prices hit $1 million in 2032, you'll receive 165% in return rate. And you're going to keep your Bitcoins as well. And that's something quite important for us, because it's going to pave the road for not only El Salvador's economic freedom, but also many other countries, not only in Latin America, but other parts of the world. So you guys are ready to visit El Salvador? I hope you are. Some of you guys have been in El Salvador recently. Can you raise your hand? Who has been in El Salvador recently? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 6. That's awesome. It is, especially because El Salvador is not in the headlines because of violence or something like that. It's because we're leading the change in the world, because we're doing something meaningful for humanity. And we want it to work the best way possible. It's not only about money. It's about quality of life for our people. I told you at the beginning, 3 million people left our country because of the war. We don't want our kids to leave our country. We want them to stay and thrive in our own country, in our own economy. And that's why we have trusted Bitcoin to be that beacon of hope of our country. Not only we can save fees, but we can actually create a new society based on a new form of payment, savings, and economic freedom. And it's very impressive if you take a look at this way. El Salvador has been through so many things, but we decided to leave it behind. There's a new generation of politicians raising. Many of my colleagues are less than 30 years old. Our president is 40 years old. You know why? Because we were tired of someone else taking decisions that will affect our future. So we decided to step up and take those decisions for our own good, for the future of our country. And that's why Bitcoin at the beginning sounded like something really crazy for a lot of people. But we've proven that it's the right tool for protecting not only undeveloped economies, but the whole monetary system in the whole world. I'm more than glad to be here, for real. I'll give you more information in the next months. I travel all the way from El Salvador here so I can actually speak to you and let you know that El Salvador is actually preparing everything for in 2 months, we can issue the first bonds. And you're going to hear about it. It's going to be quite impressive. We believe, we already made some surveys, that the bonds will be oversubscribed. And when people realize that, and when countries realize what we can do with Bitcoin, not only El Salvador is going to be looking forward to accept Bitcoin as a legal tender. So I invite you guys, from wherever you are, even from Germany, United States, what other countries we have here? Mexico? Croatia? Iran? Russia? Austria, yeah. Where? Oh, Netherlands. So go back to your country and tell your politicians, I want Bitcoin as a legal tender. Tell them. It's possible. It is possible. We already proved them that it's possible. We made it up in El Salvador. So they cannot tell you it's not possible. It is. It is. It only needs the desire to do it and to have it clearly in your mind that it's only going to benefit your people. So you have this ask, all right? Go back to your countries and tell them it's possible. We want Bitcoin as a legal tender. And you'll see it happening in the next months. Many other countries will follow El Salvador's example. And that's what I'm happy to announce about, that El Salvador is no longer known for its previous violence, but for looking forward to the future, paving the road for different countries, and making history. So I'm definitely looking forward to see you guys in El Salvador. We're going to plan some really nice things in the next months, and I'll be more than glad to actually invite you all. You can ask around what El Salvador is like. People felt safe. They like the food, weather. People are nice, for real. You should give it a try, yes. You should give it a try. And I'll be more than glad to host you all. Me personally. I'll be more than glad to actually host you. Because that's what we want. People going back to El Salvador and seeing that opportunities are tangible, that you can really have success in El Salvador. We're preparing all the best conditions possible. We're open to suggestions. If you guys see something that you think we can actually make it better in El Salvador, let us know. We're open. Because we want it to be the best way possible. I'll give you my email address. If there's anything that you actually can help us, I'll be more than glad to receive all your feedback. But definitely, we're hoping that this 2022 will be the best year El Salvador has had in its 200 years of history. You know how we celebrated our 200 years of independence? By declaring Bitcoin as a legal tender. That's the real independence we're looking for. And that's the way we celebrate it in our country. And I know you guys are all part of it, because you believe in it. And I know you guys will help us also achieve the best outcomes possible for El Salvador. So guys, I truly invite you all to come to El Salvador, enjoy what El Salvador has. They're happening very fast. 6 months ago, nothing of that existed in El Salvador. Not even the law, not even the digital wallet, not even the idea of Volcano Bonds. 6 months ago, that didn't even exist. And times are changing quite fast right now, that if we actually lose sight of it, so many things will happen in that time. So I invite you guys, follow up with El Salvador, be informed, and especially buy Bitcoin bonds. Please. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Senator William Soriano. We're talking a lot here at Block Chance about positive future. Yeah, you addressed so much about positive future, and all of this is going forward at a very quick pace. Some wish that it would go quicker. You guys are going at breakneck speed. Can you please address to us this idea of change being the possibility, like you said, the biggest thing that you wanted to do when you became a politician was to invoke change, right? And make a positive future for people. How do you motivate and coordinate all the players in your particular projects to move forward quickly instead of just talking about it? Right? How do we get them all motivated? I would love to start with you because you guys are going at breakneck speed, and then I would love to hear from all of you on that.
All right, so basically where you have to focus your energy is on executing things. It's good that we talk about it, but the right moment that you move your hands into achieving something, you're going to make it possible. That's why our president in the video told you, the only country that talks about something and does it the next day, it's our country. You know why? Because that's the only way people will actually understand what you're trying to achieve. So you gotta gather the best minds possible, ever. Keep them as close as you can, and actually give all the steps that you can actually give. So what is on our side? On my side, I received the law bill, the project, right, in the Senate. We had to study it fast, because we knew that we had to actually fight to approve it. Because what happens in politics, if the bill goes to the Senate, it can spend years there. And you know what I'm talking about whenever it comes to laws in our countries. But it all comes from people. If people want something to change, they give you the power. They gave us full majority in the Senate. Full majority, so we don't need opposition votes. And that's the first reason why Bitcoin was able to be declared as a legal tender in El Salvador. So basically, if you want to do things, achieve things, start with the small things that are achievable in the short term. In our case, was changing politics scenario. So whenever we have to make decisions like this, we're ready. We have the votes, we have the will, and we have the ideas. That's the basic thing. From a politician's perspective, right? I'm not an entrepreneur like you guys, but I view it as a different way. It's legal frames, desire to do things, and be brave about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With the idea of the politicians being on your side and ready to move quickly, that's a difficult one. Probably for the others of us here on the panel. Matthias, can you speak to how you can kind of rally all of your players to move forward fastly? 1031 is moving quickly as well.
Well, as you rightfully...
Uh-oh, do we have a mic?
Hello? Oh, thank you. I'll take this one then. As you already rightfully said, politicians have to be courageous, and politicians have to be moving forward and have to be open to change. There is the political side, which to my mind includes the regulatory side, obviously, and there's the entrepreneurial side. And I believe the blockchain space has a great advantage in the sense that young people, driven people, people who want to make a difference can actually feel they're really part of an important new game here. So I don't really think it takes a lot to motivate them. They are intrinsically motivated. In a lot of projects, people are invested in their own coins. They cut back on their own salaries. They hardly take any money out. They put all their effort in. They put their lives into this thing, yeah? In the hope of making a big difference in a playing field that's getting bigger every day. Now, that, unfortunately, in most cases, is not matched with the regulatory perspective and flexibility that we require. Speaking as a banker, I can tell you I'm experiencing that every day. I wish that regulators would become more creative, would become more courageous, and would become more open to listening to that new industry, which, frankly, they can't kill, so they might as well embrace it.
It's good to hear. Uma, can you tell us how you are motivating your people at Apex? You have on a mic. They should have you mic'd.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Great.
just take this back. I'll take this.
I think Matthias.
We're playing past the mic.
All right. Well, I would absolutely agree with what you just said, intrinsic motivation. And I think in general, you shouldn't need a driver, or you shouldn't need, something where it's like, okay, I go to work or I do this and that. For us at Apex, it's more of like we do it because we're so passionate about it. You have to find something that motivates you, but it also gives you a reason why. It's like every day you get up and it's like, okay, well, why do I actually do this? And sometimes, like I know this personally, like not all the things are always easy and are the fun parts, but then you have to go back to really thinking about, okay, why am I actually doing this? And at Apex, we have a very strong why, and we've seen that also in our beta phase, where on Apex we had people from all over the world, from like Philippines, Nigeria, from El Salvador, like people from all over the world, basically being on Apex and just participating and having fun with each other and earning tokens for that. And the reason was, or our idea was never to build an app that it's just like about, okay, you make money. No, it's about you actually share your passion, but it's a fair reward mechanism. And so when people saw that and now they can actually do something and it changes their lives, and seeing it change other people's lives, that gives you enough reason why to say, okay, I want to do this and I want to make a bigger change, and I'm going to do this for every single day, and every day I get up and go into a meeting, I'll give my best. And so I think it's about, number one, realizing that the time that we live in is full of opportunities. It's right now. We've never been in an age where you have at such rapid pace these technological advances, this evolution. And so realizing that, being grateful to be in a position where you're able to create and do these things. And then really, thirdly, I think just looking at how can you make an impact and how will it change other people's lives, because that's what we all want eventually, is to change other people's lives, to make an impact. And yeah, I think when you have that at the core of everything that you do, then you don't need any other motivation.
I think that's great, Uma, thank you. Arnold, is passion and motivation enough to get the ball rolling for Overture fast enough so that we can keep up with the others?
So they are definitely key pillars that you definitely need in order to get and to become successful accordingly. I would add something more, and I'm back with the orchestration picture that we used earlier this morning, is what I experienced also in my environment, which is really a startup accordingly, but with really senior people and young people as well as a combined way, is we can things speed up when we trust each other, when we believe in the power that everybody in a team has. So be the government or be the people that you're working with at the same level, talking the youngsters with the experienced CEOs, whatever, and if they trust each other and we have then the opportunity to build up a community and orchestrate those talents, then we can make everything happen. There are huge challenges, but if you listen and if you trust within the teams, we can make everything happen. And one topic, what we should not do, because let's say my history is really media industry, this is really fast racing speed, yeah, and I'm used to it. Sometimes you have to take time and do a moment of self-reflection, yeah? Because sometimes if you too rush in things, we fall in love with ourselves, which is great. But sometimes it's good to have also an expert view. But nevertheless, all these elements, I think, can really enable a boost, not only of technology, but bring our societies and also our economy forward in a tremendous way.
I'm going to stick with you for just a second. With this forward movement and with all the resources that we have at our disposal, how is social media helping Overture?
First of all, we get a lot of feedback there as well. So we are interacting with the community. This is one of the channels, and we have also, let's say, some tools where we really listen and monitor not only our customers, but overall what's happening in the world in order to register what's ongoing. We reflect this also as a feedback, and we invite, for example, our customers also in the further development of the topic. So whatever it is, we listen therefore, we are present there, we know these are the instruments. Yeah? We can do linear channeling, whatever, video, whatever, but this is currently the instrument where you can listen, where you can learn. And this is important for us as a company.
Great. Matthias, since we didn't get to hear from you in the speaker panel, we heard a little bit what Max told us about 1031. Tell us in 2 minutes, what is 1031's newest, most exciting thing? We saw a little bit up on the screen with the debit card and all those modules. Can you tell us a little bit what's going on with 1031?
Okay. 1031 Bank has a clear mission, a clear vision. We want to bring crypto into everyday life and to the masses. And we firmly believe that this needs a regulated core. It needs a regulated environment where consumer protection rights are well cared for, where transparency rules and everything. I mean, it's quite ironic in a way, because think about this. The old financial system sometimes today blames crypto for being unreliable, being dangerous, being unpredictable, and so on and so forth. And then I look back at the reality of 2008 when Lehman collapsed and when the regulators utterly failed. And it was the old system that actually failed, and lo and behold, 2 years later, we have the white paper on Bitcoin. Yeah? So we want to bridge the gap between the old financial system and what's good and worth preserving about that, and the new decentralized financial system, which has equally great advantages and a great perspective. That's the mission of 1031 Bank.
That's great. That leads me to the other point that I wanted to kind of bring into the group, this idea of positive future. Let's talk about sustainability and where you all see yourselves. Uma, you're shaking your head. I'll go ahead and start with you.
Well, sustainability, yes, a big topic. Well, sustainability, I think it means many different things, right? Where can we start with that? But for us at Apex, and I think I've briefly mentioned this in my presentation, like we're built on the greenest blockchain that is really trying to also go carbon neutral. And so I think, having that also be an important factor in what you're building and keeping that in mind throughout your development is extremely important, because right now is a time where, like I said, technology is advancing, and at the same time we need to speed up our development and our thinking. Absolutely. When it comes to sustainability. So just having that balance is very important. And I mean, another fun factor maybe, been also looking at ways, to build houses in a more sustainable way, and including technology and having, hubs be built on a sustainable ground. Just making sure that everything that you do keeps the environment in mind. And we've really been looking into that. And it's also a fun way, because new techniques have evolved, and over the recent years now have come back, I would say. It's not like we've invented new things, but we're becoming more conscious of it. And so I think it's a really, really great time right now, while we're getting more and more into technologies and advancing in that space, to also at the same time look at sustainable solutions, on the tech side, but also just in general in life.
Great, thank you. William, you talked about sustainability with the volcano and all of this energy that you guys are putting towards the effort. Anything else that you can talk to us about sustainability? Where is it going?
I mean, there's no other country in the world that's actually been so proactive to decarbonizing Bitcoin or crypto. El Salvador's, we have a very big potential in volcano energy. Previously, we used it to actually feed cities,
Wow.
But right now, we believe that if we begin this path, we will actually allow not only Bitcoin but other cryptocurrencies to get away from the belief that they are just too harmful for the environment. El Salvador, we will build a geothermal power plant. We already have 2 of them. That we use volcanoes as a source of energy. And we will keep on doing it in El Salvador. The next power plant that we're going to build is going to be actually to mine Bitcoin and to feed a whole city, which is called Bitcoin City. So, I mean, we've actually set examples for other countries.
Right.
I know Costa Rica, Iceland, Guatemala, and other countries have this potential because they have volcanoes and are active volcanoes. So I think it's a great opportunity for countries to actually harvest this type of energy that's renewable completely. If you take care of a geothermal power plant and the reserves, you re-inject the water back again.
Recycle, recycle, recycle.
It's renewable completely.
Absolutely.
It's 100% renewable. So that's what we need actually, not only in Bitcoin, but
in general.
Other blockchains, all the blockchain process and other coins around the world. But it's possible. We proved it already.
Absolutely. Matthias, tell us, you don't have a volcano probably in your back pocket. What's happening in 1031 with sustainability?
it's tough for a bank, really, to come up with a sustainability model.
That's why we want to know.
And unfortunately, yeah, we don't really have a volcano in our backyard. But no. But take, for example, NIMIC, one of our shareholders and partners. They have built their blockchain in such a way that it consumes only a fraction of what other blockchains would consume. And of course, we support that. Also, we are involved in a project where we plant trees in exchange for the energy that the bank consumes with the blockchain support. And frankly, we are open for any suggestions on more sustainability because obviously we support that. But I couldn't say that we have found the perfect solution on that front yet.
That sounds like an invitation to me for the audience. We talked about rising up together yesterday. So if there are any of you out there who are more sustainability focused and energy conscious, get in touch with those of us who are more bank oriented or whatever it may be and combine efforts so that we get this thing up and running in the right direction with all of our resources. Tell me how you guys at Overture are also going towards the sustainability.
So one element that we are focusing on, we are really cloud-based topic because we believe that this is the way also, if you use capacities, that's the way forward how you can be also carbon neutral or become carbon neutral because they are the ones that can offer this kind of stuff. And you have to put the pressure there as well to get there. The other thing is that you have always ask yourself what you can do more, yeah, or also ideas how could use it. Yeah, I'm always thinking using blockchain really as a global carbon database, and you can just buy the certificates from the United Nations or whatever, and this is then the trading platform accordingly. This could be an idea that could be helpful, working together with governments and really to bring some kind of that stuff forward. And for sure, with any of our implementations or partners that we're talking about, as we call it, next applied now, let's think about the next day. And I'm personally convinced this will be anyway not a discussion, oh, what could we do in future? But hey, this is the subset we have to do, all of us, every day, and we have to ask ourselves how we can reduce costs, how we can improve the capabilities, technology capabilities, but thirdly, how we can become more sustainable and more climate neutral or save our environment. There's only one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Uma, you wanted to say something?
Well, I would like to add something because I was just thinking, you know, basically it's just also a question to the audience because we have a partner that we're working with and they're all about wastewater mobility and making, like, turning waste into fuel, for example, and things like that. And now we were thinking about implementing also a reward system there where you get rewarded in the form of crypto when you participate in that system, for example, picking up trash, bringing it to the local place, you know, where it then gets transferred and reused. So can you just raise your hand, who would participate in such a system? Would you pick up trash to get rewarded and then get cryptocurrencies that potentially could be worth millions? Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. We've never really talked about this. We've only talked about this internally in our team, but I think that's also the future.
As an outsider looking in, someone who's not from the blockchain world at all, I always used to think about when someone would explain the blockchain thing to me, like Mario Brothers jumping up and grabbing the coin, and that sounds exactly like that. So we're really like turning that into an idea. Do we have any questions in the audience? Oh my goodness, we need a microphone really quickly. Try not to touch the mic. I'm the mom here, and I'm keeping everything sanitary, so we've got a mic coming your way. One of these gentlemen right here. I have this one right here. Yep, it's great.
All right, hi. Thank you all for your talks and your inputs. I just wanted to ask the congressman this question. And before I do, I want to say I can't believe you guys pulled this off, coming from someone's country that it seems impossible. And before I ask my question, I want to say this is from curiosity and not skepticism, but I can't wrap my head around this. You guys said that no taxes or low taxes on so many things because the country is geothermal, new inputs of energy will cause you guys to import less oil and you won't need to spend as much, so you won't need people's money as much. But what I wanted to ask is this. You said 30% of people had bank accounts and now it's up to 80, which shows that your country is developing very quickly. And with the extra developments that your country is going to have, the energy requirements better now? Okay, so now since your country is developing pretty quickly, so will with the energy demands. Did you guys plan out the far future that the geothermal volcano that you have, will it be enough to sustain the quick development of your country? You're not taking any taxes, which is okay so far because the country is developing as it is, not so bad, but when it develops pretty quickly, what do you think the single point of failure will be, and how will El Salvador tackle that?
Great question.
Yeah, thanks for the
Thank
question.
You can give the mic back, please.
We have an energy matrix that's been changing very rapidly in our country. Right now, with one single project, one investment, $1,000 million, we just covered 30% of our demand for the next years. We already have enough energy to actually cover the growth of our economy. So what we're planning on doing with this volcano is use it only for this purpose. We still have plenty of them, like 27. But still, we're actually trying really hard to not depend only on fuel oils. That's what we're running away from right now. Because we know it's going to happen eventually, so we got to get ready for it. So I think countries like ours who have this sort of potential for energy, first think of your people, get their needs covered, make it as cheap as possible and renewable as possible for them to have energy sources. But since we have plenty of it, we will totally use it for Bitcoin mining and powering the whole city. So I think it's sustainable because most of these projects, they actually give you like 90 megawatts of power. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. Specifically, if you mix it with different source of energies. Near BitcoinCity, we have the best irradiation in the whole country, which means that if you set a solar panel or a solar power park, that's another source of renewable energy that you can make. But we also have availability of wind, so you can actually have a wind turbine nearby. There's a lot of potential. We're focused on Volcano right now because it's the one that we can actually harvest the fastest. But we can also focus totally on solar energy, which is another alternative that we can actually implement in El Salvador. And we actually switch, 15% of our energy in our country is created from solar panels.
Great.
50% is coming from either hydroelectric or geothermal. And that's a lot of renewable energy. So I think it's possible to keep on the same track and decarbonize not only the blockchain, but future developments.
That's encouraging. Do we have another question? We've got several questions. 1 second. Is it okay if we go over like 5 minutes? It seems like people are very interested. We can delay lunch just a second. Great.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Congratulations, everybody, for your projects. Everything sounds very amazing. My question is for the congressperson of El Salvador. I'm from Guatemala, so I know a little bit from the situation in our countries. My question is, what is the approach that you are having for those who are not technologically advanced, meaning elderly people, people with zero connection to the internet, how they will fit into this new crypto world that you guys are creating in El Salvador?
That's a great question. In the budget that we will actually approve the next month for the 2022 year, for the whole country, for the whole government, we've already included, it's called a program to actually reduce the gap of internet connection or availability we have in our country. We will give people cell phones. We won't give them expensive iPhones, but we will give them access to phones and SIM cards with the internet paid by the government so that we can actually reduce the gap that already exists in our country. But still, I think it's a very important question because all these processes rely on the access actually to internet and platforms. But I think we're heading right there right now. Everything happens so fast right now, like it's been so in a short period of time that we haven't had enough time to actually educate all our people on this. But I think the next months will be right on that and to make it available for everyone in our country.
Great. I see that we have one of our speakers that's going to be coming up later on in the schedule. John, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah. So thank you for all the wonderful presentations. a lot of the questions have been talking about environmental sustainability, and I'm very curious about social sustainability. So for William, what's your experience been with centralized media platforms? And UMA, Apex has been out for at least a year and a half, 2 years, and what has been the experience for users in various countries using a decentralized social media platform with regards to social sustainability and stability?
Thank you. Can you repeat the question for the
Oh, yeah. So William, I guess it's 2 questions. One is, being a congressman from El Salvador, you are used to interacting with social media platforms, but they typically are centralized. And so how do you see the future of decentralized social media platforms affecting you, the politics of your country, and the future of El Salvador? And for Uma, who has had exposure to all the Apex users and the impact of that, what has that looked like in the last 2 years?
We'll go with the congressman. Oh,
you start. Yeah.
Congressman.
Thank you. All right, so I've been targeted in social media. And as a politician, it's not easy to actually stay in all the platforms available. I use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all of them. Our people are there, actually, and there are different communities. You got to engage with them. But all of them are different. And I believe as there are many more options that are more transparent on what they do and what messages they deliver to you, because we're being targeted by specific actors that want you to get specific messages on your head. And I think if we move away from that, we'll be getting better social media, decentralized, better experiences, and more transparent information around. That's what I believe. And I truly actually believe on engaging really with people. I actually take my time to go streaming, and explain people my decisions, explain people my motivations as a politician. So I can actually, I try to be as open as possible as a politician so that people can get a hold of on what your decisions are. And I think social media play a very important role on that. And I think we'll see a lot of change in the future. We see already some examples of companies that are trying to actually decentralize social platforms and build different ones to more reliable ones. But I'm hoping for the best in the near future.
Thank you. Uma, would you like to answer the question as well?
Sure. Thanks, John. So I personally think that, first of all, the issue is not always necessarily with just centralization in general, but it's when centralization gets corrupted. And we've seen that happen in social media over years now, and it's not gotten any better over the past few months and years. Especially if you're in the crypto space, you may have noticed that you can't play certain ads on Facebook or on YouTube, and it's a very, yes, regulation is good, but when it suppresses a certain group of people and it doesn't let people to really voice their opinions and freely interact, and there's political discussions being pushed a certain way because somebody wants that at the top level of a company, then that's not how a social media platform should be. And not only that, but then also you have the aspect of social media not being really social anymore. You have so many, trolls and people just, there's a lot of hate also on social media. And what we've seen on Apex is by bringing a decentralized alternative and allowing people to get rewarded for what they post, what they share, they automatically become more conscious of what they're actually putting out there and how they're interacting with people. How do they want to distribute the value? And so I think just because the people never had the power in their hands, it was always like, okay, I'm on this platform for free, I can do whatever I want, but I'm not really getting anything from it. It's just like, it's a free playground. But that also then got obviously through centralized media, and so it got more controlled. But on Apex, it's a free place that lets people interact with each other, and they get rewarded for what they put out there. And so people automatically, like I said, not only become more conscious, but also want to see what type of content should be on the top level, what should be seen, and what maybe shouldn't. So it's a self-regulating economy in a way that we're building on a social platform, and so that really has helped with a new way of how society interacts, and it's more positive, it's more free, it's more independent, and that's really what we like to see. At the end of the day, it always should be power to the people, and it shouldn't be that it's suppressed by any company. So that's what we're trying to achieve here with Apex.
Thank you. Just to wrap up, we're already over. Arnold and Matthias, to be fair, do you have any last words that you'd like to leave us with? Anything that you want to contribute to the last question or anything in general?
Happy to do so to the last one. But I think, let's say, if centralized or decentralized, and both are techniques that we are using there, I think, and I get back to the trust work, how we did it, is also that we have to think or should think about an ethical basic codex that we use, be it for the centralized one or for the decentralized one. Both can be abused, and especially we now in these times also observed, be it centralized or decentralized, it can be abused. So I'm always open and happy to discuss about what are the principles behind. Technology is great and gives us great opportunities, but we have to think about how to use it in order to support our environment, directly, but also in the ethic way how we do it. I think this is something that often comes too short if you think just from a commercial perspective or whatever, but let's start it. Let's not stop these kind of discussions.
Great. Matthias, last words?
On my, while I was in the taxi on the way here, the Buggles song, Video Killed the Radio Star. Do you remember that one? That was playing. I thought, no, it hasn't. It hasn't. Radio is still on and video is on, and it complements one each other, yeah? It's great. I love listening to the radio in the car. I couldn't watch a film in the car, possibly. Video didn't kill the radio star. And microwaves didn't kill your stove. And you know what? I'm quite happy sometimes I take out that vinyl LP, and I love the crackling sound of it, and I like the feeling of it, and I like to see the needle move back after half an hour. And it didn't kill my LPs either to have Spotify. What I'm trying to say is, don't have decentralization for decentralization's sake. Think about decentralization as an evolving step in a world that will always need centralized points as well, and work on making them to integrate as seamlessly as possible and as sense-making as possible.
Sounds reasonable.
That's my final word on that.
Good. Before I let everyone go, I just want to say we are officially halfway through Blockchance 21 at this point, right here, right now. So I think that we should celebrate that by going to lunch. Before I send you off to eat, please be reminded that you don't want to miss out on our afterglow party in the Kulturkirche Altena with Moon Boudica. That sounds good. Tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., right after the conference. The biggest announcement for that is, though, you must have an official Schnelltest, quick test, in order to get in. So that